Hello, dear participants of the 13th International Conference on Educational and Educational Psychology. I'm Sipovskaya Yana Ivanovna, researcher of the Laboratory of Abilities and Mental Resources named after Druzhinin from Institute of Psychology, Russian Academy of Science. I want to present my topic. It is about cluster structure and features of copings in adolescence. And first of all, let me speak about adolescence itself. It is one of the most critical age periods of everyone's individual life when we faced with some adult problems such as searching for work or trying to continue our educational process and so on and so forth. And also it connected with some dramatic changes acute within our mental, physical, and moral and other spheres, so that we've tried to solve this problem, to elaborate and to develop some coping strategies in order to solve these terrible situations. And so we decided to conduct the study, and purpose of this study is to search for the specifics of manifestation of useful conceptual structuring schemes and the relationship between preferred coping strategies with indicators of productivity of intellectual activity itself. And we formulated the hypothesis that is presented in our slide. We decided that high level of cognitive abilities in terms of school performance and analytical intelligence is intercorrelated with problem-oriented coping strategies in the terms of Lazarus and Folkman's technique. I mean such copings as taking responsibility and planning, and the object and the subject of our research are presented on the slide. The object of our research are older adolescents with different school performance and preferred methods of coping behavior in difficult life situation, and the subject of our research is a relationship between older adolescents coping strategies and intellectual school performance itself. We've sampled over 155 older adolescents, the age from 15 to 17 years, and we've used only one psychological technique. It is the questionnaire methods of coping behavior, and also we used the data of the student's electronic diary in order to collect database connected with productive intellectual activity within schooling. And turning to the results we got, we can see at the table presented on the slide there are three clusters, and we must admit that high tension of all of these coping strategies are associated with low intellectual productivity. I'm speaking about correlators we've got between such copings and intellectual productivity. And it tells us about the disability. And the second slide, it was about the third slide. And the second cluster, it tells us about the average level of all these correlations, all these coping behaviors, coping strategies. It is not good and not bad. It is just a borderline. It is not productive and not so unproductive as in the third cluster, but the most productive line in presented in the first cluster, it is a low tension of all these coping strategies. And the same situation, I mean 3 clusters, we got in the class dendrogram that is presented on the slide. We must admit that there are 3 clusters, first of which consists from such copings as planning, positive regulation, and seeking for social support. It is active but not connected with solving the problem in that concrete situation. When we are planning, we are imagining the situations that would be sometime later in the future. Positive regulation, it is a kind of meta-cognitive ability when we are looking at the problem from the other perspective but not being in that concrete problem situation. And seeking for social support, it is a kind of collection of some resources, social resources, but that are not presented on this problem. So that these first clusters consist from such copings that are active, yeah, but not working with this concrete situation. Compared with the second cluster, consists from such active and cognitive evaluated copings such as self-control and acceptance of responsibility. It is the most cognitively evaluated cluster, and it connected with productive intellectual activity. And also we have the third cluster. It consists from such copings as confrontation, escape or avoidance, and distancing. It is the most emotionally evaluated cluster, but it is not connected with productive intellectual activity because we are full of emotions. We could not solve the problem. We just deliberate with our emotions. So, in discussion, we must admit that we've got 3 clusters, 2 of which involve active solution of a problem through rational actions and both social resources, seeking for some social information, for social support or planning. And also we have the third cluster, highly emotional evaluated cluster, some passive strategies that do not involve a solution of complexity here and now situation. And I must conclude that there is evidence was obtained that the subdivision of coping strategies into cognitively loaded, problem-oriented, and motivational, emotional, to correct myself, avoiding solving a problem situation. And nevertheless, intellectual productivity is associated with a low level of passive cognitive strategies, passive avoidance. And the last slide of my presentation is about my contact information. So I'm waiting for your questions and suggestions, and I want to thank you for the attention. Bye.